let's go ahead and continue this thing because we only still on the first part.
I'm trying to tell you, bro. That's what I'm saying.
All right. Let's go.
Your mother for some kind of advice on some certain topics.
I agree.
Why do you do that?
I'm not saying they don't have.
Yo, it's hot, bro. She's coming in hot, and it's making me nervous.
Facts, bro. I had to get used to her energy.
Yo, it's making me nervous, man.
Excuse me, I'm taking.
Don't get me wrong.
I'm not getting you wrong. You said that we shouldn't get arrogant, and that what we see, you use drone or whatever. So why didn't you use drone to ask your mommy or your daddy that, oh, there's this thing that I'm going through, what do you think? Do you understand?
That still applies to what I'm saying. I'm humble enough to ask my mother, my father for some certain topics of life. And I believe
why?
Because I believe they truly have the experience.
Do they?
And I believe I also have experience that they don't have.
We're not talking about we're not talking about your experience. With what an elder sees, right? So you believe that there's something they know ahead, or they've experienced ahead.
Missed it. Look, that's the problem. Leaning into the emotional, whatever. Because the prompt literally is talking about his experience as well. It's talking about both of their experiences, just comparing the two. And he's answering. I also, he's not shutting down the fact that elders have.
He's not, He says he will go to his parents and get the advice.
Now, his issue lies in the fact that they won't ever come to him or look to him as somebody who's adequate enough
to get advice from them. Yep.
And that's his problem. And I understand that. And I feel like when he came on hot too, when he said what he said, that's what was in his mind too, because he already knows they're not willing to hear him. So it's more of it's like a rebellious take on, all right, I ain't getting no sleep because of y'all not gonna get no sleep because of me, right? At least he's not completely blind and emotional.
Right.
Because he still has he has a point to get across.
Right.
She completely missed it though.
Yeah. She's stuck on the idea that, I don't even know what she's still stuck on, but she going on and completely oblivious of the fact that he's agreeing with the idea. But again, what he said, like you were saying, what he said triggered, and now she got to prove her point. This is highly unfortunate.
And so you humble yourself, you creep to them and say, hey daddy, blah blah blah, and they advise you. Why?
Bro, that's triggering, yo. These are all words that I heard before, and I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me right now. This cannot be real.
Yeah, we all live in the same life, bro.
What I'm trying to tell you is that it goes both ways.
Did we argue that we can't learn from you? I beautifully said, you're so brilliant, you're so smart, but there are one or two things that are not right. I'm not going to stand here and be battling words with you. If there's an obvious problem, there is a problem. So for you to go to your parents, your mommy and daddy, and ask them on a topic that your drone couldn't answer you, then I think we're right.
An elder is only an elder with his...
I don't know. I'm gonna let this guy cook real quick.
Yeah.
Wealth of experience, and the experience is gotten over time, right? If the person is already maybe say 70 years old, he has spent 70 good years on earth, which means there are some things he probably experienced which may or may not apply to my situation, but it doesn't take away the fact that he has experienced them and they are valuable lessons for me to learn from them. Now, I just have to now use my discretion in knowing which one to accept, which one is going to follow my situation, and which one to reject.
The problem is that we're not disputing that you guys have a lot more lived experiences, is the fact that because a lot of older people tend to see the world in one particular way, and whenever they are giving advice, it comes out as a lot more haughty. It seems like whenever the older generation wants to speak to a younger person, the default, 70% of the time, default is condescension. You don't really know anything, so let me just help you along.
I said
the percentage. You guys have structures that you are.
Even when it comes to listening to her point of view.
Still,
You're telling her she's wrong. And that's not even just an elder thing. People have this to invalidate other people's literal perspective. Like,
just off rip, this is their perspective, and you're telling them, nah.
yeah.
Like, what?
Like, what? For real. Her response is, I don't do that. Or, it's not true. Like, I think adults are more susceptible to do that, though. You know what I'm saying? Than anyone else. Because, I don't know, but amongst youth, if we're speaking amongst each other, or if an adult is speaking to us, I think we're more inclined to believe where they're coming from, even though I've never experienced it. You know what I'm saying? Parents are like this, or this specific set of people are like this because when I grew up, this pattern reoccurred all the time, and it affected me in this way. I personally have experience with this same set of people, maybe in a different area or maybe at a different time, but I've never experienced what they're experiencing.
Right.
That doesn't mean they're just telling me straight up lies.
Right.
There's something that I don't see that they've been seeing. All that means is we're at different parts of the picture.
We looking at it. We got different point of views.
Yeah. And I think elders struggle with that, especially when they're speaking to youth. And that's what we just witnessed, bro.
Sheesh, man. All right, let us continue and see what we got.
I've already done. The experiences you have had are invaluable, okay?
Okay.
But if you are coming to me as, I know a lot more than you, of course you know a lot more than me. You are older than me. That makes sense. Why are you making me feel like I'm stupid?
Maybe.
What makes you think we're making you
And
feel?
that's how it comes across to me.
Maybe
That's like it feels like
you are trying to be
I did.
high-headed.
I did it. No,
I'd like to hear her out.
I did a short stint in corporate for like 3 months. I left because this was how the environment was. I was the youngest person there, and you felt like everybody across was trying to tell me, well, I have a lot more experience than you, so you should do this in this particular way. There are many roads to the markets. Okay, sometimes it's bush, and you will fall inside gutter. You might start to enter the market. One road is just smoother than the other, and that's probably the road that you advise me to take. But it feels that like you are just hammering it on my head anyhow.
Was that person talking to you harshly?
It's not a specific person. It's
in general.
I
All of
put
them.
the percentage out of the air, but it feels that like in my lived experience, 70% of people that older people that talk to me
Can't communicate with you.
Were you arguing with them or something?
I don't even argue.
Were you arguing with them or something?
Because there's always something wrong with the youth. They are always the one that's in the wrong in all of these scenarios for some odd way. And I say that as though I'm not a good one anymore. I don't know. Yo. But it's interesting. It's interesting that she says that. And tell me if this is incorrect. It seems like the big issue is that actually no. Before I go into that part, there was something that my brother-in-law had told me way back. It was like a couple years ago, and this kind of shaped the way that I intake information from people. Because before I used to be, hard-headed, kind of to an extent. I would just sit there and like the second I hear advice and it's like, okay, this doesn't apply to me, I immediately shut it out. Once I heard this advice, I was like, you know what, maybe I should kind of change my perspective. So essentially what happened was I was at the church. This was back when I was at G-Shack. And they had, I forget what it was, those little saga like training sessions that they used to have on Saturdays for like 6 hours. And he was at one of them. He was there for a minute and stuff like that. He came out and I saw him. I was like, oh, what's up? I didn't know you were here. And he was like, yeah, man, let me tell you something. If you're going to put your time into doing something, you better make sure that you got something out of it. So in a sense, even though those were 6 hours that he spent at this event that he probably didn't want to spend at this event, but he just so happened to do so, he said, you can't get those 6 hours back. So you might as well learn something. Same way how when it comes to school or like your interactions with other people, and like what I was saying, how I'm getting advice from other people, or when people are trying to give me advice or other people are trying to give me advice, the second that it doesn't apply to me, I kind of just discard it and I tune out. The idea is that if I'm sitting here and I'm having these conversations, if I can't automatically just walk away and get my time back, and I'm sitting here having to be within this conversation, I might as well hear what it is that you're saying and decide what I want to do with that information. But that requires me to actually be objective in the conversation, to where, again, as far as emotions go, I have to take out all emotions and just listen to what it is that you're saying and look at it from an objective lens. What happens with the younger generation and the newer generation is, of course, this pride situation. But the common thing with the old generation is you guys act like you know everything. And then you talk to us like you have no respect. So the way that the younger generation talk to the old people sounds like disrespect. It wasn't received correctly. With the younger generation, you old people sound condescending every time you talk to us. So the way that the message was received was not liked. It's the same problem with both sides. They don't like how they're being talked to. So then they automatically the younger people, they automatically shut out. The older people, they automatically feel like, yo, you a young dude, you a young cat, you don't know what it is that you're talking about. You ain't got no knowledge that you can give me. And everything that you're saying just doesn't even make sense. Let me go ahead and try to correct you because you have no respect for us. And it's crazy because once you get to a point where you just start listening to people and really diagnosing what it is that they're saying, you can kind of build not even that relationship, because they know that if they say something that you'll actually sit and listen, but you may actually learn something that you weren't even intending on learning. There's been countless of situations that I've been in nowadays where there's conversations that I may not have needed to be in, or it may not automatically be directed towards me. But because that conversation was had, I now have that knowledge to where if something else were to come up, I can provide insight on something that I may have never experienced, or be given an answer to something that may be slightly related, but in a completely different sense, because I've been given a different perspective. But that comes with overcoming the condescendingness of the adults a lot of times, which they'll mention in the next prompt. And when you're dealing with younger people, that comes with accepting the fact that they're younger and they may actually do have some knowledge and wisdom that you don't have.
Bro, that's real. Bro, that's a lot that could be said with that. Yo, you said a lot. That's layered, bro. Because I had thoughts on every point. I think it takes a sense of maturity to be able to, first of all, be aware that you're being emotional. And you're listening emotional.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Bro, that's for every party, no matter whether or not you're a child, a parent, man or woman. It's going to take effort to first realize, okay, I think I'm being emotional, or I think I'm letting trigger words cloud the point of this conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Once you get that under control, then you can start to weed out, identify the trigger words, and dismantle that part in your system in order for you to get the gist of the message.
Yep.
I think that's how you should listen to everything on a daily basis.
You got to.
Bro, I think when it comes to, I had to learn how to listen to sermons in that way. I had to learn how to listen to my parents that way. I think that one, I don't remember when I learned that, but that one was a long process, bro. Long process. Now, it might not look like I've learned that to my parents.
They're not gonna see it until you get older.
Yeah. Cause sometimes I still get in my emotion, but bro, I get the message, to say the least. I get the message. There's just some trauma there. But, yeah. Also, listening to like a partner or friend's issue or opinion on something you did that they felt like you were wrong in. You know what I'm saying? I have to listen to what they're saying without getting triggered and trying to deflect it, because triggering immediately is going to lead you to deflecting
Yep.
the whole message. So,
Yep.
bro, that's a lot to ask out of somebody.
It is, yo, that's a whole different skill. Like, you gotta reach a specific level to gain that skill, bro.
Bruh. So it's like that's one of them battles I don't feel like it's possible to win against an adult. Like they need to become aware on their own themselves.
Yeah.
You, as a kid, if you're aware that your parents are saying things that trigger you and you're willing to weed out, like the kid was saying, the dude with the glasses, you're the party that's willing to technically be the bigger man, be the bigger person, and weed out the emotional triggers to listen to the core, but the other person can't do the same. You can't force it on them. That's not the way to go about it,
Yeah.
because then it's gonna make it worse.
Yeah.
So I think it takes a lot of patience and something that you can use to protect your energy so you don't keep falling for that emotional trigger.
Oh yes, because the energy usage is immense if you're not able to catch that from the jump. That thing is immense.